Welcome back to the show. Now, midlife is often associated with some kind of crisis, but long-time friends Raymond Hamilton and Geraldine Mayo are on a mission to turn those negative connotations around. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Before we get into your website, wisanow, I want to talk about this midlife crisis, because when we were discussing this yesterday in our meeting, everyone said, oh, but only men have midlife crises. They, they get fast cars and younger women. Women don't have midlife crises. Would you agree?
Not at all.
Definitely not. No, this is the reason for the website. Both Geraldine and I had a midlife crisis at the same time, but we have decided to turn it into a transition. And what we're trying to do for other women is do exactly the same. But during the research for the website, we realised just how many women were on antidepressants, anti-anxiety pills.
Because that's what the good old doctor does when you go and say, I don't feel right, I feel anxious.
And you're talking about women sort of 50 plus. That's really where you're targeting it. So do we do the same sort of thing as men do? Do we go and buy ourselves like a new car or go out with much younger men, this whole cougar phenomenon? Is that what you're talking about, or is it more subtle?
Well, we usually become more introspective, don't we?
I was just going to say that, yeah. We go inside ourselves, because I thought I was the only one going through it. And it wasn't until Raywin's husband came to me and said, you have to talk to Raywin, I don't know what to do. And we went for a walk on the beach, that I realised, and she started talking, and I said, I know exactly how you feel. That's how I feel.
But she hadn't told me.
No.
And we've been friends 44 years.
So, well, let's talk about that, because we're going to look back at beautiful photos of when you both met. Look at that, 44 years ago, and both look like movie stars. And what did you think when you met each other?
Well, I remember seeing this glorious creature across the room, because our boyfriends were working together at the same time. And I thought, my goodness, she looks like Gina Lollobrigida. Brigida. What do I do? She's a bit of competition here. I think I can do one of two things. I think I'll keep the enemy close. So I didn't realise it would mean living in the same apartment building 44 years later.
And I just slid under the carpet when I saw her. I thought, oh, she's so beautiful.
Natalie Wood, you thought,
yes.
And very much Natalie Wood. So you guys have been friends for all these years. Let's talk about the crisis, though. What was happening in your lives that sort of initiated it? Was it the change of life or anything like that?
No, it's all to do with my mother had dementia, and she'd had it for 10 years. She was dying, obviously. It's a change in where am I going, have I done enough with my life, watching very close friends, husbands having just passed away, thinking that is just not fair, coming to terms with the cycle of loss, and also the loss of youth.
For the first time in your life, you feel vulnerable. The first time in my life, I hit a wall, and my marriage ended at 50, and I suddenly thought, oh my goodness, I'm not sure I can do this again. Whereas when you're younger, you just march on. And us particularly, because we were the baby boomer generation, and we were the first generation to have the pill and the sexual freedom. We burnt our bras in the 70s. We were super mum, We did all these things. We were businesswomen,
went out to work,
brought up
careers.
families. And then suddenly you think, oh,
I've got to do it all again. And it's funny, because I've spoken to a few women recently, personal friends and guests, and they all say, you turn 50 and you become invisible.
Visible.
Yes.
And one of them was in New York with her daughter, and she said, I noticed everyone was looking at my daughter and not at me, and she had been used to men looking at you. That's a hard thing to reconcile for a lot of women.
From the age that the photographs, where we were so used to walking in a room and the winks and the nods and the wolf whistles, and then all of a sudden there's no wolf whistles, or if there are, suddenly they see the front and they think, oh no, shouldn't have whistled, she's too old.
And of course, and the men that are whistling are sort of getting older and older.
Yes.
And that's something you say, you talk about in the website, this cougar phenomenon. Why is it expected that women in their 50s and 60s have to go out with older men? Because maybe we want someone a bit more sprightly.
Well, there was one comment that did make me smile on our website. This lady was saying, she said, and I don't want a man in a cardie.
Well, don't live in Wellington. Yeah. So let's talk about the website now. So you both are real estate agents full-time. Yes. You've been friends all these years. How did you come up with the concept?
Well, after I had been through this crisis, and I started looking for books, I started looking for information, I searched the web, I read everything I could possibly get my hands on, and there really wasn't any help. So I thought, well, I'll write my own book. So walking along the beach again, I'm saying to Geraldine, well, I think I'll write a book. She said, why would you do that when we could help so many more women with a website? So it's all her fault.
Oh, yes, you always blame me.
So how's the website set up? It's wisanow.co.nz or is it .com?
It's all.
WISANOW. What's it stand for?
Women in Second Adulthood. The only... Yes.
A bit negative.
Well, it's a bit like the seasons, really. You have spring, the lovely teenager. You have summer, the beautiful mother. Then you have autumn, when the roses smell even nicer than they did before. So we're here to really enhance that wonderful period of women's lives, to take them through and actually enjoy 50, 60, 70, 80...
And
make the
beyond.
most
And
of
beyond.
it.
So how do you do that? Like, what does the website do to encourage women? Is it sort of a blog or a chat room?
We do have a blog. It's a one-stop resource. We have Feeling Good, Looking Great, so it's all about appearance. We have a book section, we have a movie section. It's whatever affects women in midlife. We have technology.
And what we find, the most interesting thing that women respond to is very often appearance. I did a little section the other day on jeans. Do you know how passionate women are about jeans?
Well, it's the bane of our life, having to find a pair that fits us.
It is, but these wonderful comments that came back, you've got to try this, you've got to try that, these are perfect,
Helping
those are
each
perfect.
other.
Helping each other. And so it's a community, really. It's a resource and a community for midlife women, because this is the manual that I was going to write. So we're going to put it together, and then hopefully we will...
A book will come out of it.
Yes, a book will come out of it.
If you have to choose the top issues that women in their 50s and beyond have from what you see on your blogs, what would it be?
Health is number one. Loneliness.
Anxiety.
Making new friends very often. If a partner dies or they divorce at a certain age, they find it very difficult because a lot of those friends don't continue with a single relationship if they're still in a couple. So how do they meet new friends? So the response that came back from women to help other women make new friends was fabulous.
What were some of the ideas that they came up with?
They went to walking groups, they went to drama groups, they just said, get out there.
Just whatever you
get
like
out
doing. And it's about spending the second half of your life, and it's not fine. You may know what your passion is, but if you don't know what your passion is, it's about being able to discover your passion and just follow it. Because we now have time. You know, our children have left home, and we love our grandchildren dearly, obviously. My children tell me. But we don't have them full-time. We don't have our children at home full-time. So we do have time to develop the things that we didn't have time to do in our 30s and 40s when we were mothers.
You've got time, and you know what? Time is so valuable. Ladies, great to have you on the show. Really inspirational. You look fabulous. You really are an inspiration, and I just love those photos from the 60s. Thank you so much, and good luck with the website.
Thank you, Sarah.
And you can check out our website for a link to Wiser Now. But just ahead, Adam's making luscious mascarpone creams with candied oranges. That's